What's up guys, welcome back to a new Kengan Omega chapter video. Today we have chapter 134. We got our boy Lolong's hype backstory. I think this will be everything we're getting about Lolong's past prior to him joining Purgatory as the first fighter. And of course we also have some Oma vs Lolong action, with Oma getting a little bit busted with some of the moves he pulled out this chapter. Hope you enjoy. If you do, make sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video to help your boy out. Now let's begin. The title of the chapter is Hunter, very fitting to what Lolong did here. We begin by seeing 5 people who have surrounded a 20-year-old Lolong and pointing their guns at him, saying that, "Isn't it ironic that the elite squadron you handpicked and trained are on our side? We'd like you to come with us." We learn that these people are indeed part of Worm, and that this person here is a high-level Worm compassionate, meaning he's the same rank as Lu Tien, which makes what Lolong did in this next panel even more insane. But we have them surrounding Lolong. We see each of their Worm tattoos confirming that each of them are part of Worm. They say, "Oh yeah, you didn't have too many options here." Lolong's like, "Oh, me? No options? Let us see about that," and proceeds to absolutely destroy and blitz all 5 of them. Takes out the first guy, and then we see the other 4 fighters falling to the ground pretty much at the same time, meaning Lolong blitzed all 4 of them, which is pretty insane. We see him interrogating the last one, not really interrogating, kinda flexing I should say. He says, "Do you know why I didn't use my gun? Because you're too weak. So do you know why I use my knife? That's also because you're too weak." Of course, if he wasn't to use his knife, that means he would want to have some fun, the whole boredom thing about Lolong's character similar to Kuroki. With that being pointed out again by Lolong saying, "My thirst could never be quenched by the likes of you." The guy tries to, brag about his syndicate, the Worm. Then Lolong, he doesn't care, kills the guy. "Let's see if your syndicate can destroy me before I destroy them." Like, Jesus Christ, what an absolute legendary backstory. Then we cut back to the present and we see our boy Mutaba, who seems to be in good condition. He's changed his clothes. I'm guessing he's just forgetting about getting clacked by the Tiger Nico a few chapters ago. And we have him actually talking a little bit about the past of Lolong. So that's why Mutaba was interested in Lolong's fight. So he wiped out all the Worm agents in the Philippines and then left the military and entered the underground to get over 400 wins without losing. He's killed more worms than you can count. The monster of Manila is a hunter that preys on worms. I doubt Lolong even gives a worm a second thought. Again, making Lolong even more legendary. However, it is kind of weird to think that there were like 4 other worms on Team Purgatory alongside the person known as the Worm Hunter. We have Alan Wu, who's associated to Edward Wu, who's technically part of Worm. We have Faye, Naden, and Lu Tien. So yeah, kind of weird to think about that. But now we're cutting back to the fight. I really enjoyed Lolong's flashback though. And yeah, pretty hype for our boy Lolong here. We see, of course, Oma getting up. Sadly, he doesn't get up with an advanced explosion as we're all waiting for, which is feels bad. Lolong points out that he rested as long as he could, of course, getting up at the count of 9. This is nothing new. Most fighters have been doing this throughout the whole tournament. But I did actually think Oma was knocked out at the end of the last chapter, considering his posture when he hit the ground. But then we get some insane reveals regarding a Kure Clan technique and what Oma actually did here. Lolong is thinking the following: "He must have copied how I went limp in my joints, but he only saw me do it once. Is his latent combat sense even greater than mine?" And then we get it revealed, Oma used the Kure family tradition technique, copy. Yep, that's right, the Kure Clan have a copy technique. Oma does point out that he's feeling that, "Guess I couldn't copy it perfectly," or "Guess I couldn't copy you perfectly," but still, the fact that a copy technique actually exists in the Kure Clan is kinda busted, because of course that means Kure Ryan has that technique. Any Kure technique Oma uses throughout this fight, Ryan also has, but just a copy technique outside of Sheba's ability as an actor is kinda annoying, and to be fair, I would prefer if Sheba's whole copy thing didn't exist as well, and same thing for this Kure Clan technique. Of course, I expect it to be extremely limited. He's not copying like these various high level attacks from seeing it once, even though the joint limpening ability Lolong used was very high level, I think Oma could already go limp, as shown with his water kata abilities and how, most characters in Kengan can just go limp to disperse the impact. I don't think it's going to be able to copy stuff to the extreme level, and I don't think this ability will come up too many times throughout this fight or really in the future of Kengan, if I'm being honest. So yes, it's kind of broken, but I don't think it'll be, busted beyond belief. Or at the very least, I don't think it's going to be abused throughout the Kengan story. From there, we get another piece of Lolong in a monologue, which is something very interesting. He says, "At least he'll entertain me more than those worms." Is that referring to the worms he killed in the past, or the worms part of Purgatory? If he is referring to the ones part of Purgatory, that this 100% confirms that Oma is indeed stronger than someone like Lu Tian and all the other worms, including Faye. Maybe Lolong was aware that there were worms the whole time, and his whole boredom wanting to have a great fight kinda overwhelmed him, and he just let them do what they want, waiting to fight them. But now he's more excited in fighting someone like Oma, again showing him respect. And then we cut to Yamashita and Koga, with Koga questioning why Oma isn't using the advance. Kazi says Oma can't use the advance. This confuses Koga, with him saying, "Didn't that Faye guy overpower Waka by using the advance?" Take note that Faye's transformation isn't the advance, but it looks extremely similar, and characters who didn't hear, Faye say its name won't actually know the difference. But then we have Gao Lang, following up with what Kazi said. Ultra close quarters combat requires precise motion more than it does speed, and using the advance will come at a cost of precision. We do see an actual representation of what would happen if Oma tried using the advance here. So due to Lolong's flat fighting style, Oma can't really use the advance, or he'll just get overwhelmed more than what he currently is. Then cutting to an interaction between Lolong and Oma, Lolong says, "I'm very pleased, Takeda. This is my first time fighting on an even footing in a long time." Does that mean that Oma is stronger than all the other Purgatory fighters that Lolong has faced? Perhaps. However, Drota did have a lot of hype going into him about being an equal with Lolong, so maybe Drota was able to push him somewhat as well, or maybe Lolong is referring to his fight with Croaky, which ended in a draw. As we know, Lolong has never lost a fight in Purgatory. Very interesting. We cut to some of the Purgatory fighters who pretty much talk about how Oma is strong enough to make Lolong happy, meaning he'll be able to enjoy this fight, again linking into his whole boredom being too strong thing yet again. Without much delay, the fight continues. Ultra close quarters combat again. We see that Oma tries to get to the side of Lolong, but Lolong is still one step ahead of him, showing that they are extremely relative of Kure Clan techniques versus Salat and, the whole pre-initiative battle. But Lolong is still slightly better, giving him the innate advantage. Kazi talking about how Lolong has more experience at fighting at this range, meaning if this keeps on going, he's going to end up winning. We see that Lolong is using his shoulder torque increase ability again, but this time Oma dodges it. It seems like he used Phantom Pace here, but we don't get a description. And regarding some stuff that's mentioned later, I'll talk about this soon. But he somehow dodges Lolong's shoulder arm strike, which is very impressive considering that strike was meant to be on par to Gao Lang's striking speed. And then he also counters with a Nikkei style Adamante Kata Iron Breaker, which does fairly decent damage to Lolong, so much so that they're probably around equal when it comes to damage. If not, Oma is still a little bit more damage as we see on his arms here, but still around equal. This actually, triggers Lolong a little bit, saying impossible? You mean to tell me he dodged my strike from that stance and countered on top of that? How is this possible? He questions, is this your ace in the hole? Mate, this is just some Nikkei style techniques. Just wait until the almighty Demon's Bane comes out. Lolong will have no idea what hit him. But regarding the dodge, we have Okubo and Ryuto who say they lost track of Oma for a second, of course referring to the dodge, with Koga saying, "I think I might know what Oma did." The fact that Ryuto and Okubo lost track of Oma should mean it isn't a Nikkei style technique, as they've seen Oma use Phantom Pace and all the other Flame Kata or movement based techniques that Oma used during Astra, unless it's a brand new technique of the Nikkei style or Kure Clan we've never seen. But the fact that Koga only saw it, and probably Yamashita as well, due to their fifth eye, my prediction for what Oma did is maybe similar to the Kure Clan being able to use their removal on specific parts of the body, as we saw with like eyes and arms and stuff like that. Maybe he learned how to use his advance on only certain parts of his body. Maybe he did it so he could just move faster quickly, or maybe he did this. Oma activated his advance for a split second, probably like a single heartbeat or something like that, to get the increase required to actually dodge that, and then he turned off the advance to land a Nico style technique and continue fighting. We learned early in the chapter that using the advance for the close quarters combat fight that's currently occurring isn't ideal due to the requirements of precision, but if he turns it on quickly then turns it off, may allow Oma to get around that, and that could be the evolution of his advance. And the fact that we've had the mention of advance this chapter, only Koga was able to see it, it could be that case, and I think it's more so that than a new technique. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that down below. Very cool stuff, and our boy Oma is getting quite broken. Even though Lolong kind of messed up Oma last chapter, I think next chapter we're going to see Lolong pull out a new martial art. Looking at his stance here in the final chapters, it does seem a little bit different to his stances prior. If you look at early in the chapter when they were getting ready to fight, his hands are in a different position, so maybe Lolong will actually be pulling out a different martial art, which may allow Oma to pull out more Nico style techniques and move more away from the Kure Clan techniques, which is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to subscribe, join the Discord, follow the Twitter, and as always, shout out to the people who support the channel via the Patreon. These absolute mad lads. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.